G'day guys, my name is Michael and I am the Dead Aussie Gamer, here to share with you some of the tips, tricks and strategies that I use for my very own tabletop role-playing game. Today we're going to be talking about customizing pre-written adventures. We're also going to kind of touch on how I prepare for pre-written adventures and then going into kind of what I do to tweak it and change it. So, first and foremost, what is a pre-written adventure and why should we be tinkering around and customizing it? A pre-written adventure is a module that has been written by an author, publisher, and released so that people can actually play an adventure and get into one without necessarily needing to do all the creative homework on their own. It could include things like a setting-specific kind of scenario, it can include the encounters, it can include treasure, and it's basically an easy way to get straight into a game without needing to painstakingly design an entire campaign. Why should we customize it when someone has clearly gone to so much effort to build it? Well, the simple answer is when you look at a campaign, a pre-written one, it is someone else's creativity. And if you want to, you may absolutely just simply run the adventure as it is. But when you do so, it kind of lacks a sense of you, because you're a GM and you are a creative person. You are someone who is running a game. It is your narrative. Even if it is someone's story, it is your tale to tell. It will not be told again by you in the presence of these people who are playing these exact characters. It is a singular and unique experience and one that deserves your attention and creativity. How do we do it? How do we even begin customizing pre-written adventures? Some author has clearly spent so much time on it. Where do you get off, Michael? No, sorry, stop that. All right. The first thing I do when I prepare for a pre-written adventure is I will read through the adventure without pause from start to finish. And I won't do anything. I won't pick up a pen. I won't pick up a bit of paper. I won't take any notes. I will just read it. I won't necessarily focus on nitty-gritty details, like I won't focus on the stats and how difficult an encounter might be or the CRs or anything like that. I'll just read it for the narrative's sake. Once I have read it, I'll let it ruminate. I'll just basically let it sit in the back of my head and go, okay, cool, now that was what the story was, that bit's cool, this bit's cool, that's all right. What I'll then do is I'll read it a second time. And when I read it the second time, I will have a notepad. And I will write down every single thought that I have when it comes to things that I like, things that I don't like, things that I think could make its own side quest adventure. I will write all of these things down as I go. What this does is it gives you a nice little guideline as you play. So you can not only have your pre-written adventure that you're going through, but you'll also have your notes and you'll go, okay, cool. So you've arrived at this Viking village and you see that there is a festival in the center of town. Note to self, you need to build a festival. Okay, cool. So I've got these four excuse me. These four ideas for things that you can do at the festival. And then I go, okay, cool. So as you arrive, the smell of sweet meats signals the beginning of a food contest as everyone gathers around these large tables filled with meat pies. This is how you customize pre-written adventures. You take the idea from the scaffold, you add those notes that you have, you then expand and elaborate on it in order to create your custom pre-written adventure. Sorry, I am dying for some reason. So, once you've got your notes, once you've got kind of your idea, what can you do in order to best polish and shape those ideas? The first idea I have is obviously soundboard your ideas. Find someone who is willing to listen to your ideas and spitball ideas back. This is a great way to make sure that your ideas aren't stale and they kind of stay within the realm of the pre-written adventure. The last thing you want to do is you don't want to have your players suddenly on an entirely different quest. While this kind of works well for custom games, when you're on a pre-written adventure, try to kind of stay on track, Sure, have your little side quest, have your character-driven stories like, my father was killed by a wizard with a huge beard, and he is living in this castle, and one day I will be strong enough to defeat him. Oh, I'm strong enough? Oh, let's go defeat him. Sure, by all means go and defeat the evil wizard, but don't forget that there is still the plot, there is still the quest that you need to undergo, and once you have defeated your father's killer, you must return back to the story and still be engaged. So when you're a GM, always make sure that everything leads back. This could be that the wizard, in fact, was the one who started machinations, or maybe has allied themselves with someone in the main quest. These are the connections that you want to maintain throughout your customization. If you don't, then, well, you risk getting to a point where you'll just stop playing the pre-written adventure, which isn't a bad thing, by the way. Not a bad thing at all. If you find that your players are just kind of over the pre-written adventure's plot and they're going in this direction, feel free to take them in that direction. I mean, I don't see any major problem with that, as long as you're kind of okay with the idea of, you know, improv and sandboxing things. I mean, sure, why not? Lastly, when you are customizing pre-written adventures, skinning is a massively useful idea. When you are trying to impose players that are in an adventure to a unique scenario, it doesn't help if they have played the adventure before. And that's a risk you run when you run pre-written adventures, is that your players may have played it before. Reskinning ideas is a fantastic way to kind of throw people off a little bit when it comes to certain encounters. So if you, say, come across a mimic and everyone knows that the mimic is a chest in this next room, instead of having it be the chest, maybe have the chest be a chest. And maybe make the mimic a chair. Or maybe instead of a mimic being in this room, maybe there is a cursed mirror that is in this room. You know, sort of, it's still a threat, it's still an encounter, but it's something that has simply just been shifted and altered ever so slightly, just to kind of give your players that sense of unfamiliarity, so that they don't get too kind of complacent with the idea of what their adventure expectations are. Alright guys, thank you so much. I do apologize if this video seems a bit drained. I'm actually fighting off a cold, as probably you can tell. So thank you so much, guys, for hanging around and staying tuned. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you enjoyed our earlier video this week, which was, of course, Dag's Character Corner. If you've got any ideas that you want me to throw out there, both as these kind of videos for advice and, of course, characters that you'd like me to perform, leave a comment below. Let me know. Come join us on Discord at discord.me/deadaussiegamer. There'll also be a link below. Come say hi on Facebook, facebook.com/deadaussiegamer. And of course, if you want to help us out and make us, allow us to continue spreading the good word as tabletop role players, then head on over to our Patreon and become one of our cheeky goblins. For as little as $1 a month, you can really make all the difference to keeping this channel going. And link will be in the description below. In addition, we have continued our adventures in 2nd Ed with our Mythic Patreon reward. So for $40 a month, you will be invited to a game a week every Monday at 8 a.m. GMT plus 8, which not daylight savings including, I think is like 8 p.m. on a Sunday evening for the US, Eastern Standard Time. Yeah, come play for a couple of hours. It's great. I mean, it's good value, and there's some awesome players in it at the moment. We're currently running the Price of Greed, which is a pre-written adventure about a group of people who are trying to uncover the villains who have disturbed the rest of their town's local hero, and find out what kind of sinister history this hero had, and why all of a sudden the undead have risen in his tomb. So yeah, if you want to be a part of that, then, you know, join our Patreon, become one of our Mythic Patreons. And of course, from me and, you know, the Dead Aussie Gaming crew, thank you so much for joining us, guys. And always, as always, like, subscribe, and make sure that you game hard or die trying. Have a good one, guys.